Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Autumn Renee. Today we're going to be talking about becoming a single foster parent. This is going to be the first in a video series on foster parenting. I know when I was becoming a foster parent, I found it really helpful to watch YouTube videos about other foster parents, about the process and how to become a foster parent and what it was like. It was really helpful and encouraging to me, so I hope that this video can be encouraging to others, specifically younger and single foster parents. There is a lesser amount in that demographic becoming foster parents, so I feel it's very helpful to share my story and kind of my experience going through this process, both single and being young. For those of you who don't know, I'm 23 years old. I work full-time. I live in an apartment. To become a foster parent, you do have to have adequate space for a child and financial means to provide for a child, even without any kind of stipend. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about becoming a foster parent. As a single person, you do have to be able to financially provide for that child. Usually, whatever agency or state you're going through will provide some sort of stipend to help cover the costs, but you do have to prove, even before the stipend, that you can, support that child, so be prepared for that. You also need adequate space, as I mentioned before. In my area, if you're fostering under 3, you can have the child sleep in your bedroom in a crib. Past that, you will need an additional bedroom. For me, currently, I am fostering younger due to my space limitations, but I do plan to move into a larger apartment so that I am able to provide for a larger age range. That being said, the foster care process is a lengthy one, but in my opinion, it's going to be completely worth it. Usually, this process will vary depending on where you are, your area, your state, even by agency, and even by trainers. But for me, in my area, I had to attend what was called an informational meeting. It was pretty much a meeting in your community. Once you've decided that you think you want to do foster parenting, you will go to this meeting and they will kind of answer your questions, give you a gist of how the process works in your area and what are your options, the different agencies you can go through. I personally chose to go through CPS. And I will make another video about my reasons to go through the state versus going to a private agency. There is pros and cons to each, and I will make a video on that later. So make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see that video later. But in terms of the informational meeting, you'll go, you can ask your questions, you can meet other foster parents in your area thinking about fostering. And at the end of that meeting, they will give you usually a packet to start the process, kind of your initial paperwork. And this paperwork, it can take a while to fill out. It's gonna have all of your residential history, your work history. You're gonna have to provide bank statements and employment statements and insurance statements and all kinds of different paperwork that's going to, it's a lot. It takes most people a few days, but the sooner you can get it in, the sooner you can get that process started, because like I said, it is a lengthy process and you are gonna wanna get it out there as soon as possible. After your informational meeting and after you send in your initial paperwork, you will then get an email saying, thank you for your paperwork. Now you need to sign up for your pre-service training. So pre-service training, like I said, it will vary depending on where you are, but generally it's going to be training that's going to teach you how to parent children of different backgrounds, coming from trauma. It's going to give you the resources you need as a foster parent for all ages. That being said, I really enjoyed my pre-service training. I do think that there were some things that wasn't covered that I wish would have been covered, but that is a story for another video. During your pre-service training usually takes anywhere from a month to 6 weeks, could be longer. I did an accelerated training. It was 4 Saturdays, pretty much all day Saturday. You went, during that time you will also do things like CPR first aid, you'll do water safety training, you will learn about medications, you will fill out lots more paperwork during your pre-service training. Even more in addition to your initial paperwork. After all of that is done, then you will be working with your trainer to finish out any last minute paperwork. This can take a while. This was the longest part of the process for me. There was just so many statements and so many things that they needed, background checks from people, they needed references, they had to mail letters. There was quite a bit of paperwork going on with this, so it took a while to get all of that in. So I do recommend to be very on top of that. Make sure you're sending it to them, make sure they are sending it. I did have one instance where my trainer forgot to send my reference letters, so that actually held up my process for a little while. But thankfully we got it in, it worked out, everything got sent in, and then after that it is sent to your FAD worker, which is essentially going to be your social worker for life until they retire or you move. So once your FAD worker receives it, they're going to put your binder together. They're going to look at all your paperwork, tell you if there's anything else you're missing. For me, I was missing 2 more items that my trainer had not noticed or maybe wasn't responsible for. They're not very clear on that process of who's responsible for what. So I sent her those 2 things. She got it right back. She was very on top of it, got it all done, and has sent it to the state. So now I am just waiting to hear back from the state to get my final approval. And then I will have my final home study, which is essentially a long interview process where they will ask you questions, look at your house, tell you how things are going. I did kind of have a pre-home study during my pre-service training where my FAD worker, which is my social worker, came to my house and did just kind of a quick overview just to see that my house was, decently clean and able to take care of a child. There wasn't any big, red flags, trash everywhere, or weapons hanging around, and the place is childproofed. Basically, they're checking to make sure it's just a safe place for a child. So I did have that pre-home study, but I do still have the official big home study that everybody talks about with the long interview process. I have that to do after my initial paperwork gets approved by the state. So that is where I am in the process. I'm very close to the end. I should be licensed within the next 30 days. Or so they tell me, but government processes, they can take a while, so just be on top of it. So that is what the process has been like for me. So you'll have that informational meeting, you'll have your pre-service training, you'll have a few home visits, the pre-home study, a fire inspection, a health inspection that you'll do all during your pre-service training. You'll finish all your paperwork, it'll get sent to your social worker, then it will be sent to the state, then you'll have your final home study, and then hopefully you'll get a call saying you were approved. That is basically it. If you're someone who's sitting here going, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much, what if I don't get approved? Like, I don't know. It is a lot, and it's good that it's a lot. You want to be able to weed through the people who aren't willing to put in the work, because honestly, the work doesn't stop after you get licensed. You're going to have paperwork for the child. You're going to have a child to look after. You're going to have social workers coming. It is a lot. And I don't say that to be discouraging. I say it so that you really think through this, because we don't want people becoming foster parents and then leaving these kids high and dry when they realize it's too much work. So it is a big deal, and it is something you should really think through and consider before doing. I know I did, but even in my pre-service training, I learned things about foster care that I thought that I didn't know, even though I had done all my research. So, there will be surprises, and there will be things you don't know. So you should do your research, be prepared. I heard so many stories in pre-service training of foster parents who became licensed and, immediately after their first placement was like, oh, this is too much work, too hard, threw in the towel. So make sure you really consider this before doing it. If you're somebody who's young and single, as I am, and you're wondering, will they discriminate against me? Can I do this? The answer is no. They will not discriminate against you, and yes, you can do this. The amount of need there is for foster parents is overwhelming. There's thousands of kids in my county alone in the foster care system, and only a few hundred foster homes. And there's just an incredible need. So they will take you if you're single. They will take you if you are a man, and they will take you if you're a woman. They will take you if you are gay, if you are straight, if you are a couple, if you are single. They need foster parents of all kinds. And in some cases, a single foster parent can even be better than having 2 foster parents. An unhappy household in a marriage is not a good place for a child. Some children do better in a house with just a male. Other children do better in a house with just a female. So sometimes not having a couple can actually be a benefit for children, especially children who've gone through things like sexual abuse, or children who have made false accusations against foster parents in the past. So I know in some cases they actually look for single foster parents. So don't let that discourage you from becoming a foster parent. Being single has no bearing on whether or not they will approve you. If you are a genuine person wanting to be a foster parent and you have a safe home and you have financial means, they're going to approve you because they need the people. So I do encourage you, if you think this is something for you, to become a foster parent, because you can. Single, young, couple or not, you can become a foster parent, and I do encourage that. And like I said, I will be posting videos on the foster care process in the future, so I can be a resource for future foster parents. And yeah, that is kind of my beginning of my journey. I just wanted to share that with you guys, letting you know that there is other people out there like you that are becoming foster parents, and they're doing it, and I'm going to keep updating you guys on my process and how it's going. and more information about the foster care process. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any specific questions, things you want to know, and I will be posting that about you guys. All right, thanks. I'll see you guys here next time. Make sure to subscribe to see future videos, and I will talk to y'all later.